ஒரு சாமானியனின் கனவு சொந்த வீடு வாங்குவது. அருணிக்ஸலோ வழங்கும் உங்கள் வீடு எங்கள் சீடு. வீடு மற்றும் வீட்டு மனைகள் வெறும் 19 லட்சத்திலிருந்து.
Good afternoon, friends. I welcome you to this special briefing by Foreign Secretary Shri Vikram Misri on the upcoming visit of the Prime Minister to the United States. We also have with us on stage Shri Nagaraj Naidu, Joint Secretary Americas, and Shri Srinivas Gotru, Joint Secretary who looks after UN affairs. With that, I invite Foreign Secretary to make his remarks. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Randir. Namaskar, good afternoon. You would all have seen the press release that was issued day before yesterday, I think. It was regarding Prime Minister's upcoming visit to the United States. As you would be aware, Prime Minister will be visiting the US from the 21st to the 23rd of September. This visit combines many aspects. It has a very important bilateral aspect to it, a very important plurilateral aspect to it, and an equally important multilateral aspect to it. There will be interaction with a variety of foreign partners at the level of the Prime Minister. There will be interaction with the large Indian diaspora in the US, and there will be engagement with a host of business and industry leaders, amongst others. Prime Minister, let me give you a sort of a snapshot of the visit and the various elements that are currently fixed, and then I can go a little bit into the detail of each of these components. The Prime Minister's first stop will be Wilmington in Delaware, which, as you know, is the hometown of President Biden. That is also the venue of this 6th Quad Summit that will be held there. It also happens to be the 4th in-person summit between the Quad leaders, and that will be during the day on the 21st of September. From Wilmington, the Prime Minister will travel to New York to attend the Summit of the Future at the United Nations. This, as you know, is a special event that's been convened this year following a decision that was taken in 2021, I think. And the Prime Minister will address this gathering of world leaders. He will have a number of other engagements throughout these 3 days. So just to recap, on the 21st will be the Quad Summit, the bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the Quad Summit. A very special event this time on the sidelines of the Quad Summit will be a cancer moonshot event. This is a major priority. I can give you some more details on this later. On the 22nd, the Prime Minister will have an interaction with the Indian diaspora. This is being organized this time by the community in Long Island in New York. There will be a technology roundtable. It's a roundtable with a number of tech CEOs where opportunity to discuss the tech investment landscape and the opportunities that are available here will be on the table. And there will be separate and several other meetings with CEOs and other stakeholders, and also some bilateral meetings with heads of state and government. On the 23rd, as I said, the Prime Minister will address the Summit of the Future in the UN General Assembly, and there are a few more bilateral meetings that are being fixed up on that day. As you can imagine, several parts of this visit are still a work in progress. Some meetings are being fixed up. We'll keep you updated as we go forward. Just a few more points to elaborate on the different components of this visit. First, the Quad Summit, as I said, being hosted by President Biden in his hometown in Wilmington, Delaware. Now, I know that some of you have had some curiosity earlier about the fact that it was India's turn to host the Quad Summit this year. That's a fact, but we had discussions with our US colleagues, and at the request of the US side, we agreed to exchange it, given that the Prime Minister was going to be in the United States. As you probably already know, India will host the next Quad Leaders Summit in 2025. The Quad has a very, very full and substantive agenda on this occasion as well. I'll not preempt the leaders' declaration, which will issue at the end of the summit. I would only point out that the Quad's constructive agenda continues to develop. We continue to work on development priorities in the Indo-Pacific, in implementing sustainable development goals, delivering public goods, strong focus on peace, prosperity, and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. Our agenda covers health security, climate change, critical and emerging technologies, HADR, infrastructure, connectivity, maritime security, and counterterrorism. And therefore, this upcoming visit offers us, the Quad leaders, the opportunity to review progress achieved in the last 1 year and set the agenda for the next year. As I said, one of the signature initiatives that will be unveiled on the sidelines, and this one I can speak about a little bit, is the Cancer Moonshot event. And through this milestone initiative, the Quad aims to implement innovative strategies to prevent, detect, treat, and alleviate the impact of cancer on patients and their families. And to begin with, we intend to collaborate in reducing the burden of cervical cancer in the Indo-Pacific region. We are looking at a Quad joint statement, a Quad fact sheet, and the Cancer Moonshot event will have a separate fact sheet of its own. As you probably would have gathered by now, this is also going to be a kind of a farewell event insofar as the Quad is concerned for President Biden and Prime Minister Kishida of Japan. And therefore, the Quad event provides the Prime Minister with an opportunity to thank both leaders for their leadership in giving momentum and salience to the Quad partnership. Very quickly, as I said, on the bilateral part, there will be an opportunity to have a substantive engagement between Prime Minister and President Biden, where they will have the opportunity to review the comprehensive global strategic partnership between India and the United States, which today covers almost every aspect of human endeavor through the 50-plus engagements and bilateral dialogue mechanisms that we have between the two sides. Again, it also gives the Prime Minister the opportunity to thank President Biden for his pioneering role in strengthening the India-US relationship and for the several new initiatives, such as the initiative on critical and emerging technologies, which was taken during during the time that President Biden has been at the helm in the United States. At the bilateral meeting, I just want to preview this a little bit for you. There will be an opportunity for both sides to exchange a few agreements. Two that I would highlight are the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework related agreements and an India-US drug framework related MOU. There will be a bilateral fact sheet also that will be released on this occasion, which will give you more details. We also expect to have bilateral meetings with the leaders of Japan and Australia. Moving forward to the following day, which is the 22nd, as I said, the key engagement on this will be Prime Minister's address to a gathering of the Indian community in Long Island in New York. This is an event that's being organized by the community. As you know, we have about 4.5 million strong Indian diaspora in the United States, amongst the largest such groups there, and one that has made a mark for itself and is contributing to the relationship between the two countries by acting as a vibrant living bridge between the two of us. The Prime Minister will also be attending, as I said, a business roundtable with CEOs of leading US companies in the cutting edge areas of artificial intelligence, semiconductors, quantum computing, and biotechnology. And again, an opportunity to review innovations that have taken place in these fields, highlight India's growth journey, the opportunities that are offered in India for cooperation and investment. While in New York, the Prime Minister will also have the opportunity to have bilateral meetings with several other world leaders. These are also still being worked on in terms of timings, availability, convenience, venue, etc. So we'll keep you updated as we get more details. Last but certainly not the least is Prime Minister's address to the Summit of the Future on the 23rd of September at the UN General Assembly. The summit will bring together world leaders with the objective of enhancing multilateral cooperation with a view, obviously, as the title says, to the future, to tackle the most pressing global challenges that we face, the gaps in global governance that exist, and one of the main areas of attention will be attaining the Sustainable Development Goals on target and on time. An outcome document, Pact of the Future, Pact for the Future, along with annexes on the Global Digital Compact and a Declaration for Future Generations, are expected to be adopted by the world leaders, and these are being finalized as we speak. Obviously, India's priorities at the summit include inclusive and equitable sustainable development, South-South cooperation. You would recall that the Prime Minister hosted the third Voice of the Global South Summit in August this year, which saw participation by over 120 countries. And I would imagine that many of the concerns that were raised at that summit will also find voice at the Summit of the Future. The Summit of the Future will be followed by the UN General Assembly High-Level Week. The External Affairs Minister will be taking part in the High-Level Week, and he will deliver India's national statement during the High-Level Week. Let me stop there and be happy to take a few questions in the time available.
Thank you, sir. And before I open the floor, one request. Please keep your questions focused on the visit and the agenda of the visit. With that, the floor is yours. Uma Shankar.
मैं उमा शंकर सिंह एनडीटीवी इंडिया से। मेरा सवाल है कि अमेरिका के पूर्व राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रंप और रिपब्लिकन पार्टी के उम्मीदवार जो हैं उन्होंने कहा है कि प्रधानमंत्री मोदी से उनकी मुलाकात होगी। क्या ये एजेंडे पर है इस यात्रा में?
Siddhant.
Hi, sir. Siddhant from Vion. The Prime Minister will be addressing the Summit of the Future. What are the key areas the Prime Minister is expected to talk about when it comes to his address? And secondly, when it comes to bilaterals, any indication on will he be having a bilateral with the Bangladeshi Prime Minister, Bangladeshi Chief Advisor?
कादम्बिनी शर्मा फ्रॉम एनडीटीवी। अगर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप के साथ मुलाकात की कोई बात है तो क्या कमला हैरिस के साथ भी कोई मुलाकात की बात है? और दूसरा सवाल ये कि कौन से सीईओज हैं जिनके साथ मुलाकात फिक्स्ड है पीएम की?
Parikshit.
So you said that we are exchanging an agreement on IPEF. So does this mean we're ratifying now? India has agreed to join the IPEF, and any further progress that we expect on semicon cooperation between the two countries?
Okay, let me take these questions. Uma, आपका सवाल था, and I think this somebody else also posed this question कि क्या श्री जो पूर्व राष्ट्रपति हैं श्री डोनाल्ड ट्रंप उनके साथ प्रधानमंत्री जी की मोदी जी की भेंट होगी या नहीं? देखिए, जैसा मैंने पहले ही कहा कि प्रधानमंत्री जी के साथ कई सारी मीटिंग्स इस समय हैं जिनको हम फिक्स करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। जितना समय उपलब्ध है हमारे पास मीटिंग्स के लिए। तो अभी मैं किसी स्पेसिफिक मीटिंग के बारे में आपको नहीं बता पाऊँगा कि मीटिंग्स फिक्स हुई हैं या नहीं। हम सभी दृष्टिकोणों से देख रहे हैं कि कितना समय हमारे पास है और किस किस से मीटिंग हो सकती है। तो जैसे भी जो भी लीडर्स के साथ मीटिंग फिक्स होती है तो उसके बारे में मैं समय पे आपको अपडेट करता रहूँगा। Siddhant, your question on the priorities in the Summit of the Future. Look, obviously, this is something, I mean, I won't be able to preview or preempt Prime Minister's remarks at this very important event, but I would underline that the summit is being held at a time of conflict, tensions, and divisions in the world. There is an obvious deficit of development in the world at large, and the global south is at the risk of being left behind on account of current developments. The world is also playing catch up insofar as fulfillment of the very important sustainable development goals is concerned. There are a host of issues related to climate, to education, to youth, gender, energy, infrastructure, and the digital divide. So I would imagine that the Prime Minister's message and India's message will take many of these issues into consideration and highlight India's approaches on all of these issues. Our attempt as India is obviously to work on prosperity and development, to show our willingness to step forward and share more widely what we can within our means in terms of our own experiences, and highlight also the important initiatives that we have taken, that India has taken in climate, on the environment, in renewable energy, housing, education, skilling, and most important, I would say, good governance by leveraging digital technology, in which obviously our experiences related to on account of the digital public infrastructure are concerned, which I think is a huge potential, has huge potential for the world at large. And similarly, on the other important aspect, which will be a feature at the SOTF, which is peace and security. And again, our message is likely to focus on our opposition to war as a means of settling political divisions and discords, and the need for diplomacy and dialogue to settle such issues. Prime Minister's own recent travels, which you would have been following, have been aimed in this direction. I'm sure that many of these issues will be covered in his address. Kadambini, I've already answered the question related to meetings with people in the US political landscape. We'll keep you updated on what evolves. On the CEOs as well, as I said, it won't be proper for me at this point in time to speak about specific individuals, because many of them are still being contacted. But rest assured, we will have a full readout on everybody who attended the meeting. But I think you can get a fair guess by looking at the areas and the sectors that I outlined. It will be a high-profile meeting, and CEOs representing the cutting-edge sectors of AI, quantum, semiconductors, etc., will be represented in the roundtable. There was a last question on IPEF. Yes, I think as you are aware, there are 4 separate pillars to the IPEF. We had in the past, as I recall, acceded to 1 pillar under that. The present agreements, the exchange of agreements, refers to our accession now to 2 further pillars of the IPEF. And there is also something that is referred to as the overarching agreement for IPEF, which is essentially an administrative arrangement of how things will go forward in terms of coordination between various partners. That is another agreement that will also be ratified and exchanged at this particular stage. So that is what will actually constitute this particular event in IPEF. As part of this or in general?
This visit, sir. Because recently a State Department had also signed an agreement with the Indian government.
Yes. So as you know, on semiconductors, there is a, what I might refer to as a full court press insofar as the government of India is concerned. We are engaged with a large number of international partners, but of course in a very big way with our US interlocutors. Last year when the Prime Minister visited the United States, there were several agreements that were entered into, and that really gave a boost to the semiconductor drive in India. You saw a number of investments by companies such as Lam Research, Applied Materials, etc., that came into India. Micron has already broken ground, and its facility is really under construction at the present moment. And I have seen some reports suggesting that the first export of chips from the Micron facility can happen as early as next year. So those are the kinds of conversations that will be carried forward during this. We want to invite and attract even more investment from US partners, not just in the area of fabs, but now in the allied areas of tooling, of materials, and of course in terms of skills and training. So I imagine these subjects will also be under discussion during the Prime Minister's engagements in the United States.
Can we go this side? Pranay?
सर प्रणय उपाध्याय अमर उजाला से प्रधानमंत्री के पहले जो सामुदायिक कार्यक्रम होते रहे हैं अमेरिका में, उसमें हमने देखा है कि डेमोक्रेटिक पार्टी, रिपब्लिकन पार्टी के कई नेता वहाँ पे रहे हैं। पूर्व राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रंप भी पिछले उनके कार्यक्रम में रहे थे। तो क्या इस बार भी उनके कार्यक्रमों में कुछ राजनेता मौजूद रह सकते हैं? और एक छोटा सा क्लैरिफिकेशन SOTF को लेकर, आपने पीस एंड सिक्योरिटी का जिक्र किया। क्या प्रधानमंत्री की हालिया जो यूक्रेन और मॉस्को की यात्रा है उसके संदर्भ में ये अपेक्षा की जा सकती है कि कुछ ठोस प्रस्ताव वो SOTF में सामने रख सकते हैं शांति प्रयासों के तौर पर?
Yeshi?
This is Yeshi Seli from the New Indian Express. White House has said that China is going to be high on the agenda of talks during the Quad. Are there other things also like the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and also between Israel and Palestine likely to come up for discussion?
Uma?
So I'm Huma Siddiqui from the Financial Express. You mentioned that there will be some bilateral agreements announced during the talks with Biden. So would there be anything related to defense and maritime security and space?
Vasni?
Foreign Secretary, this is Suhasini Haidar from The Hindu. I'm standing up because I can't see you otherwise. I wanted to also ask on Pranay's question, a broader question. Is India going to present any kind of a proposal for peace in the Russia-Ukraine conflict during Prime Minister Modi's visit to New York and Delaware, whether it is at the Quad Summit or whether it is at the UN meetings? And is he meeting President Zelensky? Is there a request for a meeting from either side on that? And I just wanted to clarify, is the first agreement on IPEF, is that about India joining the trade pillar? I just wasn't clear about that. Thank you.
प्रणय, आपका जो सवाल है कम्युनिटी इवेंट में क्या जो राजनीतिक नेता हैं वो उसमें भाग लेंगे या नहीं। जैसा आप जानते हैं, ये जो समारोह है, ये जो इवेंट है, इसकी जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है वो कम्युनिटी की है। तो इसमें किसको बुलाया जाएगा, कौन इसमें शरीक होगा, ये कम्युनिटी की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी में आता है। तो इसमें अभी मैं अपनी तरफ से कुछ कह नहीं सकूँगा, क्योंकि हम भारत सरकार इसको ऑर्गेनाइज नहीं कर रही है। तो आपको मेरे ख्याल से जो आपके बहुत सारे कॉन्टैक्ट्स होंगे कम्युनिटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में अमेरिका में, वो शायद आपको इस बात का जवाब दे पाएँ। दूसरा जो आपने कहा कि SOTF में क्या पीस एंड सिक्योरिटी को लेके जो वहाँ पे इवेंट होगा उसमें प्रधानमंत्री जी रूस और यूक्रेन के बीच में जो युद्ध है उसको लेके कुछ प्रस्ताव रखेंगे। जैसा आप जानते हैं इन चीज़ों को लेके अभी हाल ही में प्रधानमंत्री जी के उनकी यात्रा रूस में हुई थी, यूक्रेन में हुई थी। उसके बाद उन्होंने लीडर्स से बातचीत भी की, राष्ट्रपति बाइडेन से बातचीत की, राष्ट्रपति पुतिन से बातचीत की, और हमारे राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा सलाहकार भी जब रूस गए थे उनकी भी राष्ट्रपति पुतिन से बातचीत हुई थी। तो मैं तो अभी सिर्फ इतना कहूँगा कि ये अभी जो लीडर्स हैं उनके बीच में ये बातचीत चल रही है, और जहाँ तक प्रस्ताव रखने का सवाल उठता है, हमें आगे देखना पड़ेगा कि कितनी सहमति बन पाती है, और फिर क्या हम ऐसे स्तर पे पहुँच पाते हैं जहाँ एक लार्जर ऑडियंस के सामने कोई प्रस्ताव रखे जाएं। तो मेरे ख्याल से इसमें थोड़ा सा इंतज़ार करने की आवश्यकता है, और सही समय पे आपको इसके बारे में बता पाएंगे। Yes, your question related to the agenda before the Quad and different issues that will be there. All I can say is I think you are by now quite familiar with the very wide agenda that the Quad covers, and I would say that the regional, international geopolitical situation will be on the agenda before the Quad leaders, and the sense from the discussions will be reflected in the joint statement that is issued. I think we should wait for that to come out, but I can assure you that all the key challenges confronting the international community insofar as aspects related to development, to peace, to security will be discussed by the leaders. Huma, you mentioned about bilateral agreements related to defense, maritime security and space. Look, in terms of the agreements that will be exchanged between the two sides, I have already referred to the two agreements that we will do bilaterally, that is the IPEF pillar agreements and the drug framework agreement. With regard to others, these are obviously issues that are under discussion and intense discussion between the two sides. Whether they have reached the level where an agreement can be announced is difficult to say at this point in time. Maybe there are a few more steps that we need to take before we can conclude agreements in these areas. But they will all form a part of the discussion in the very, very broad and rich agenda that the leaders have before them. So Hasani, your question, again, I think insofar as proposals for peace, etc. are concerned, I've already answered that. With regard to meeting with President Zelensky, I'm not aware of a request at this particular time insofar as these bilateral meetings are concerned. As I said, we are still finalizing the exact agenda of the bilateral meetings. Your other question on IPEF and whether we are joining the trade pillar. As you know, we had earlier joined the supply chain pillar. If I'm not mistaken, that was the first pillar that we had joined. There are two more pillars, one related to, I think pillar 3 is related to the clean economy and pillar 4 is related to a fair economy. And there is an overarching agreement. We are joining pillars 3 and 4 and the overarching agreement. So at the end of this exercise, we would have done 2, 3, 4 and the overarching agreement. These agreements, in a sense, the work on signing and ratifying them has already been done, and the event that will take place in Wilmington will be essentially depositing our instruments of ratification with the US Department of State, which is the repository for these agreements. Work and discussion on the trade pillar continue at this point in time.
Take more questions. Jackie first.
Hi, Jackie Nelson from BBC. And forgive me if I've just not understood an earlier question or answer, but can I just check? Nominee Trump, in a statement a couple of days ago, said that while the Prime Minister is a fantastic man, India is a great abuser in trade. Will this be discussed in the meeting that the nominee says will be happening?
Ram Prakash.
सर ब्रह्म प्रकाश दुबे न्यूज़ इंडिया से मेरा सवाल ये है कि प्रधानमंत्री मोदी की और जो बाइडेन की जो द्विपक्षीय बातचीत होगी उसमें क्या खालिस्तानी आतंकवाद का मुद्दा भी उठेगा, क्योंकि कई खालिस्तानी नेता यूएस में अभी भी एक्टिव हैं और लगातार एक्टिविटी कर रहे हैं भारत के खिलाफ, तो उसको लेकर क्या रुख रहने वाला है? और दूसरा, क्या संभावना है बायलैटरल की चीनी राष्ट्रपति और पाकिस्तानी प्रधानमंत्री के साथ?
Ayanksha.
Excellency, this is Ayanksha Maitra. I have a pair of questions. The first question is, the SOFT has a thematic template. It's multilateralism for a better tomorrow. So will the financial alternative mechanisms, other than SWIFT, will also be raised in the summit? And during the meeting with President Biden, will there be any sort of discussions on during the political instability in Bangladesh, as well as the security situation emanating from Afghanistan?
I think three questions. Okay, you can take this. Jackie, your question on the remarks that have been made by former President Trump and whether they will come up in a discussion. I think we first need to work our way through to fixing a meeting and then look at the issues. Obviously, as I said, I can't make any comment on the meeting at this place at this point in time. But I can assure you that whatever are the issues between the United States and India, if they are a concern on either side, they'll find reflection in a meeting. We would be taking on those issues. ब्रह्म प्रकाश, आपका जो प्रश्न था खालिस्तान इशू को लेके, तो जैसा हम पहले भी कह चुके हैं, भारत और अमेरिका के बीच जो भी म्यूचुअल कंसर्न्स होते हैं इश्यूज़ को लेके, उन सभी इश्यूज़ पे बातचीत होती है. जो भी हमारे बीच में सवाल जवाब उठते हैं उनको लेके हम डिस्कशन करने के लिए तैयार हैं, और वो इस बारी भी होगा. तो स्पेसिफिक इशू कोई उठेगा या नहीं वो इस समय मैं नहीं कह सकता, लेकिन सभी इश्यूज़ पे हम डिस्कशन करेंगे, ये मैं ज़रूर कह सकता हूँ. On the question related to financial mechanisms in the SOTF, look, conceivably there is a very vast array of issues that can come up in the SOTF, given the broad agenda that the SOTF is dealing with. As I said, there are 5 broad pillars: sustainable development and financing for development, international peace and security, science, technology and innovation and digital cooperation, youth and future generations, and transforming global governance. Now, these 5 broad pillars cover a swathe of topics, and the topic that you have mentioned can very well find reflection in the statements of world leaders. I can't tell you at this present moment in time whether a specific issue will find reflection in the Prime Minister's statement or not, but conceivably, yes, this is a relevant issue to be discussed at such an event as well. Thank you.
We can question there. Yes.
So just wanted to understand the intended outcomes that India is looking at. You, of course, mentioned several sectors like AI, semiconductors, quantum computing, biotech, and of course, we've seen, you also spoke about the kind of agreements and investments that were finalized on Prime Minister's last visit to the United States. We've also seen some agreements being signed, MOUs being signed in the Singapore summit. But can you speak a bit about the intended outcomes that India is expecting with respect to these meetings and these sectors?
Rishabh?
Good afternoon, Foreign Secretary. Resha from Times Now. Sir, two things. A, will India and US discuss a Bangladesh issue? A, and B, sir, what's the status on the high-level investigation that India initiated after there were allegations of plot to kill one of the proclaimed terrorists here in India, in US, since that he has filed a lawsuit against government of India now?
Mukesh.
Sir, this is Mukesh from Dainik Bhaskar. My question may sound similar to what Pranay and Suhasini ji asked, but I will put it in a different background, so you may like to answer it in a different way. Russian president said कि भारत को हम पीस मेकर के रूप में देख रहे हैं, तो क्या जो बाइडन के साथ जो उनकी बायलैटरल होगी, क्या पुतिन ने कोई पीस फार्मूला है जो उनके साथ साझा करने को कहा है? और ख़ास तौर से आज की रॉयटर की रिपोर्ट में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है, क्योंकि रॉयटर की रिपोर्ट कहती है कि यूरोपियन देशों को जो भारत से म्यूनिशन जा रहा है वो यूक्रेन को सप्लाई हो रहा है, और ऐसे में भारत की पीस मेकर की भूमिका भी प्रभावित हुई है.
Siddhant and Nainima.
Hello, Foreign Secretary. I'm Siddhant from CNN News 18. Adding on to what the gentleman just asked, I want to understand from you, is India working, here, Foreign Secretary, is India working on some kind of a peace proposal with other countries also, a combined peace proposal? Can we expect that in days to come? One. And second, Foreign Secretary, in Israel, there have been reports published that a Prime Minister could meet Prime Minister Netanyahu also. So since on, as far as Europe war is concerned, we are contributing to the peace talks. Can we expect India to contribute to the peace talks in Middle East also? Thank you.
Last question. Nainima.
Foreign Secretary Nainima from ABP Live. Just want to understand in terms of the Quad Summit, what could be the strategic outcome of it now that India is playing the role of a peacemaker? And also with Biden leaving White House, do you think what will enjoy the similar kind of relevance or momentum? Thank you so much.
I think on this question related to outcomes insofar as the visit is concerned, look, there are obviously concrete outcomes out of the bilateral part of the engagement. Insofar as the Quad itself is concerned, there will be a joint statement which you will be able to see the specific outcomes there. There are a number of new initiatives that have been worked on, and again, at this point I can't get into the details, but you will see the outcomes in that. The joint fact sheet as well that will be issued on the occasion will have a focus on specific projects that will be taken up, new commitments that are being made by various partners, including India, in sectors of relevance, investments as well that will take place, and capacity building. So these are all the kinds of sectors in which we expect new initiatives to be announced. And as I said, the joint fact sheet on the cancer moonshot is a very, very significant event. It goes to a human level, a very real human level, in the otherwise geopolitically dominated Quad universe. So that's on the Quad side. And on the bilateral side, as I have mentioned already, it will also touch upon several areas of cooperation. I have already referenced the IPEF agreements that will be initialed, that will be exchanged, and the drug policy framework between India and the United States. Apart from that, the meetings that will take place with the tech CEOs, I would imagine, will also result in several new commitments and initiatives announced by the CEOs in terms of their future plans in India. Rishabh, you had a question, and I think I might have missed out on this question earlier as well, on the meetings of Prime Minister with various world leaders. As I said, a lot of this is work in progress, lots of moving parts. So as and when the meetings are fixed up, we will update you on whether a particular issue will find reflection in a meeting between PM and President Biden. Again, as I said, the agenda between India and the United States is vast and deep, and all issues are open for discussion between two strategic partners such as India and the United States. I notice a lot of focus in several of the remaining questions by Mukesh, by Siddhant, and by Nayanama as well on India's role as a peacemaker, and whether we are in a position to propose a peace formula either with our bilateral partners or on a multilateral platform, and whether we are working on a peace proposal. Again, I'll go back to what I mentioned earlier. We are involved in a set of several conversations with several important partners and leaders at this point in time. These conversations are a work in progress, and we will update you on the results of this conversation at the right time. At the present moment, we remain engaged with our interlocutors on these very important issues. Specific meetings with leaders being worked out. Insofar as peace in the Middle East is concerned, you all know India's long-standing position on this issue. We have always stood for a ceasefire insofar as the immediate events are concerned, the need to ensure a humanitarian corridor and the delivery of humanitarian aid in Gaza, and for the immediate release of the hostages so that we can work towards a more sustainable and broad-based settlement in the area. Our long-term approach towards this issue has also long been clear. We are in favor of a two-state solution, states of Israel and Palestine living at peace with each other within stable borders and secure borders for both of them. And I would imagine that this stance will continue, and we will continue to articulate it on the global stage. With regard to, there was a question related to the high-level inquiry. Again, as has been said from this platform in the past, these are when these issues were first brought to our attention, we have taken certain action, and these issues, and including the allegations, are being inquired into by a high-level committee, and the relevant agencies on both sides have engaged on this. I think there was a reference to the cases that have been lodged recently. I'm not sure who raised that question. Yes, I think Rishabh has raised this. Look, again, as we've said earlier, these are completely unwarranted and unsubstantiated imputations. Now that these cases, this particular case has been lodged, it doesn't change our views about the underlying situation. I would only invite your attention to the person behind this particular case, whose antecedents are well known. I would also underline the fact that the organization, so-called, that this person represents is an unlawful organization, has been declared as such under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of 1967. And it has been done so on account of its involvement in anti-national and subversive activities aimed at disrupting the sovereignty and territorial integrity of India. And I don't want to say anything more than that at this point in time. I think that speaks for itself. Thank you.